Checker flag. E40.
Yeah, whatever. What the is wrong? Sorry. I'll save it. Helmet.
This is Paddock 43, the podcast, your weekly rundown giving you all things F1 from both on and off the track.
From races, trades, rumours, the lifestyle and all the things that come with the F1 world.
We are Amy, Elle and Pat. Let's get into it.
We're back.
Back in your ears, episode 3 and first race of the season.
How good.
Finally.
And Amy is virtual again.
Hey, guys.
But she's just been telling us that she's been doing hot laps today, so she probably has a good reason why she's been virtual today.
Yeah. It was very fun, and I'm still a little bit, shaky from it.
252 kilometres an hour, you said that you were going?
Yeah, into the corner, which is great. We had, Angelo Mazuris, I think that's how you pronounce it. So he took us around on hot laps.
Fun.
And oh my God, the fact I want to learn how to drive. Just sitting there next to him and just watching him change gears and just his presence in the car. I was like, I want to be able to do this.
Do you know what we should do maybe once the baby's here? We should go and do the, and I know BMW does it, the driving, the courses.
Well, Porsche
they
does
teach you
as well.
They basically teach you how to crash.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's in Queensland.
Yes, it's in Queensland.
Porsche,
yeah.
I think they're $700, but apparently they're so worth it.
Yeah, it'd be so much fun. I mean,
So
why can't
fun.
we do it with the baby in here? Maybe you
Maybe
produce
we
a
could.
Formula One driver and get the need for. Is it allowed?
I don't know.
Drive with the
That's
baby in your
thing,
belly?
I don't know
Oh,
if it's
you
allowed.
I don't think you could.
And also,
Like,
I
it's not like
don't think I
it's
could
okay.
enjoy myself as much because I'd be like, oh, I have 2 people to protect, not just one.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, before we get into the rest of the episode, we have 3 guests actually here in the studio with us. Besides,
One can provide some really interesting,
and the other 2 are farting. So
the other two are
and that's not the one that is about to talk.
Cool, yeah. I'm Jack. I worked in F1 for Aston Martin for the past 2 years. And back in Australia now. But yeah, I've really enjoyed my time over there and hopefully can provide some insight on the technical side of things.
because we need it.
We need all the help that we can get when it comes to technical.
The other
things.
2 guests are Elle's dogs.
Yes, if you're wondering, Merlin and Sage, Labradors under the table right now. But thank you so much, Jack, for coming in. We reached out to Jack last year, I reckon it was.
Mid last year, yeah.
Yeah, he found us on Instagram.
How did you find us?
So, yeah, I was just sitting at home in the UK, scrolling through Instagram Reels and bang, pop up. And I heard an Aussie accent pop on the other side of the screen, which is unusual for an F1 podcast. So
You felt nostalgic.
Exactly. Really, homesickness really dealt with that. So, yeah,
So
it was
that's
good.
why you only wanted to come home just to be on here. Yeah, I get it
Exactly.
now. It makes 100%
Makes
sense
so
now.
much sense.
So,
Get him up the Aussie podcast.
Yes.
So what were you exactly doing for Aston Martin? How did you get that job?
Yeah, so I was in the aero performance team at Aston Martin. So, sort of one of the main roles of aero performance is the car will be running the wind tunnel throughout, the winter and during the week, and then you'll sort of have an idea of how the car's going to perform when it goes on track.
Sorry to interrupt. How many months in total or how much time in total is spent in the wind tunnel?
So it's pretty much running constantly around the year, I'd say, even over Christmas, probably around that time. We sort of, Aston Martin shares a wind tunnel at the moment with Mercedes. So Mercedes have it, I think, during the week and then Aston Martin on the weekends. And they're sort of like running the wind tunnel on the weekends across the year to be able to build up a picture of what the car, how it's going to perform on track, but also obviously develop the car, bring new parts that the aerodynamicists have worked on throughout the week and previous weeks. And then after that, it comes onto the track environment if it obviously passes through those kind of performance benchmarks. And then once it comes to the track, there's a heap of pressure taps, so pressure sensors on the car.
Like the paint.
Yeah, exactly.
The paint, if you listen to last week's episode.
That's
And
it.
Is the paint, do you like the paint? Does that make any difference to what you were doing?
So we would report on it. So our guy would put the paint on at the track.
Invisible paint or paint that you can see?
Ours you could see. I did hear and also heard Bernie talk about it on one of those podcasts previously, that you're running the UV paint where you can only see it under UV light, hence the other team can't see it. Yeah, exactly. But as far as
Clever, actually.
Yeah.
as far as I know, we sort of had it it was visible to everyone. So you take a picture afterwards, and then you're sort of sending that back to the aerodynamicists, and they're then reevaluating their parts and seeing whether there's any issues with what the flow is doing, and whether it's what we call detached or attached to the surface. And then from there, they can sort of put that back into the design cycle and help improve the performance of the car longer term.
Nice.
I have no idea how to interpret any of that.
What you just said.
I'm just like, that sounds amazing. That sounds impressive. Have you always wanted to work in aerodynamics and engineering, and particularly F1?
Yeah, so I think when I grew up, I was sort of, started watching F1 in 2014. I think around the time that Ricardo sort of came onto the scene as well, which really provided that impetus to want to go and work in F1. So then through there, during high school, I went to the Grand Prix, and you sort of hear and see it for the first time. It's sort of like an ad for the Grand Prix now, I guess.
Yeah.
But you sort of feel it and see it, and you go, geez, that's
I want
unreal.
in.
I'd love to be
I want in.
working on that. So from there I went to uni and participated in Formula Student, where you're building a little sort of like an oversized go-kart or a mini Formula 1 car.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's such a cool experience to be able to get that experience throughout uni.
Yeah, most of the unis do it, because I was saying I know that my uni did it, and you went to Monash. Monash did it. I think RMIT did it.
Yeah. There's a competition every year in Australia with teams from even Japan, and then Monash goes over to Europe and competes over there as well.
So cool.
And you get in front of sort of design judges who are from F1 teams. And
I feel so dumb that I just studied public relations.
Dumb. We need.
No, literally, I'm thinking
kinds of-
I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, communications and journalism. You're learning to communicate. I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
I
You
really
know
need
what?
a degree for that.
My help in F1 on the weekend, yours would have been aerodynamics. Mine would have been Christian Horner and
Exactly.
Red Bull. So
I mean, all of us collectively, what we've done at uni, all of our
Yeah.
specialties are needed.
well, you probably get to go to the track more often as well. So like the engineers, you have to be there for quite a long time generally to be able to go to the track. Whereas maybe if you work in communications, you've got to get there and
Quicker.
Quicker career path possibly.
you need to be
That's
there
true.
to set up the hand-holding shot to make sure everyone knows that you're a united front no matter where you are and what you are.
Yeah.
So,
And then how exactly did you get the role with Aston Martin?
Yeah, so I'd applied for a few internships beforehand and sort of got through to the interview stages for some of them, but didn't make it any further. And then this job came up for Aston Martin just on LinkedIn. And then, I sort of applied for it on there, had a lot of help from people at university who had sort of been to F1 teams or been in high-level motorsport before. So you kind of get a bit of insight off them, which is really helpful and really cool. And I'm very lucky for that. And then, went into the interview over Zoom. It's like, very strange because you're interviewing with someone who's literally like in the thick of F1. I think it was like 1
It's
a.m.
like, I don't have time for this, but I will try and hire you.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll speak to you for a second.
It was the most intense interview, and the people on the other end were intense, and you're sort of right, trying to sort of sound as smart as possible.
Yeah.
And I was caffeinated at 1 a.m. You're trying to like smash as many coffees as
They're like,
possible.
yes, 1 a.m. works for me.
Yeah, exactly. So and then I was lucky enough to interview decently and get the job.
That's
Awesome.
So good.
So good.
Well, before we dive into like the rest of the episode, we've got to get one question out of the way, because I know that we do have an influx of new F1 fans that do listen to this podcast, and Drive to Survive's just come out. Lawrence Stroll, what's he like? Everyone wants to know.
Yeah, you can sort of feel his presence whenever he comes into the office, and you can hear it. It's always coming in by
You
chopper.
can hear it.
I remember probably the most interesting thing, and this is more about Lance, but when I was first going into work, driving my little Ford Fiesta I bought for a couple K.
Hey, Ford Fiesta zippy.
Yeah, it was zippy.
It's great
It was
car.
getting around.
They're reliable.
Yeah, exactly. So then driving in, and I could hear like this chopper overhead. This was like a week into the job.
You can't just like blow off.
hear this chopper coming in, and then sure enough, I was like, oh, that's probably going to be that Lance or Lawrence or something coming in. And then walk out of the car. I'm, not that much younger than Lance with my Ford Fiesta. Walking in, there's Lance landing his chopper on the front yard of the factory,
"Hi."
and he's like, "Yeah, welcome to F1." That was the real deal. So
Is Alonso coming in via chopper? I mean, I feel like if Stroll is, he gets to come in.
I think
He's got more credibility.
Yeah, you would think.
Just, not the money.
Can you imagine Alonso getting off a chopper?
Yeah.
yeah.
Quite entertaining.
Yeah.
it'd be like a movie star, wouldn't it? Just kind of the hair flicking around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he so would. He would be flicking the hair about.
Yeah.
I love that.
He'll get off the plane, have his sunnies on, and just take them off.
Amy has a bit of a
That's
weird
right.
crush on him.
I do. I actually do.
He loves him.
She likes the older man.
Apparently so.
Well, it's so good to have you here. We really appreciate you coming in to give us some technical
Thank
feedback
you.
that, we're not engineers and we talk about it all the time. We were doing a mini, I can't even remember which one, and we were like, we think that's how you pronounce that word, and that's what that aerodynamic thing is. We just did so much research. So
So I was going to say, do you remember we were literally reading word for word as well?
oh yeah, because there was so many things
we
we
were
couldn't
like, things
explain.
in layman's terms.
Think our own words.
Yeah, because we also understand that there are people, I'm sure there's people like yourself that you would listen to like the most technically advanced podcast, and that is something that you would find super entertaining. And we don't sell ourselves as the most technically advanced podcast, and it's okay. We want people to understand what we're saying.
There's levels. There's levels to
There's
F1
levels.
fans.
We want to keep it entertaining.
All right, well, to keep it entertaining, let's dive into some news. And I think the first one, we have to just
Let's talk about our naughty boy.
discuss a dick pic without saying dick pic. I'm kidding. All right, we're not actually getting too far down into the Google Drive. I did actually I showed Jack the Google Drive just before we started. So he is fully up to date.
Wait, and for those that don't know what you're talking about, what are you talking about?
Okay, so Christian Horner, it was all cleared last week, apparently, all done and dusted.
I woke up to a BBC News update at 2:00 in the morning. Everything's been cleared.
Yeah, seemed a little bit suspicious that it was all super cleared. Not even 24 hours later, 141 people within the F1 network, including team principals and drivers and other key figures, received a Google Drive from an anonymous, apparently, source. And in this Google Drive is a lot of WhatsApp messages and a lot of images. Now, it's not known if this is real or not. And
Could have been AI generated.
with AI, that's really creepy if that is real, because then anything's possible. So until we actually see the WhatsApp data that this is legitimate, but the photos look incredibly real, ones that you don't really want to see.
Let's just say there's about 10 photos. 9 of them are fine.
9 of them are fine. There's a great video in there of him singing Bye Bye Miss American Pie.
They're basically just selfies.
Yeah.
Like anything you would expect from a middle-aged man taking a selfie.
Yeah,
There's just
it
one
gave-
photo that's...
Yeah, someone that was, possibly a little bit lonely, which is sad if that's, what is going on. But the whole thing distracted from the weekend of Bahrain,
Yeah,
which was
it did.
disappointing. Christian Horner said he denied the allegations, except then it gave very Posh and Beckham vibes
Yeah.
when Jerry lands in Bahrain and they're walking through and they're holding hands and there's all these cameras around them.
Everything's fine.
And then their number one F1 photographer, he's taking a photo of them kissing and uploading it, and everyone's commenting, being like, you're just feeding into the narrative.
Yeah.
The PR team's working overtime for this whole weekend.
Honestly. The
Like,
devil works hard, but those PR teams work harder.
they needed Kris Jenner on board.
They do.
That's
They
what
do.
needed to happen there. I mean, Amy, what did you think when you saw all of this unfold?
I was in two minds. Not two minds. Like, I was shocked, but then also it's so hard to look at kind of both sides, and you're like, is this real or is it AI
I
generated?
know. Yeah.
Like, we don't know. And then if it's real, who was the person that leaked them? Because it couldn't be the woman that's involved. Because if it was, it would hurt her right to appeal.
I think it would have to be someone that knows her.
So yeah, so like, or someone that's, if it's all fake, and then it's someone that's just created this all through AI. What do they want? What do they want with Christian Horner? What do they want with Red Bull? But then if it's real, then I don't know. Like,
At least
I actually I almost don't like talking about it because it's so icky.
It is
It's
icky.
so icky.
My one thing is, at the moment, we're sort of sitting here questioning, is it real, is it not real? At least we do know that the truth always prevails.
It does.
So eventually we will know, was it AI or is this going to turn into a huge...
That's what the other team principals are asking for it to actually come out.
Yeah.
What's going on? Toto Wolff said prior to these even coming out, saying we want more visibility of what's actually happened, because they're all saying, I mean, look, you're top dog. Everyone's always going to try to take out top dog, right? No matter what position you are, they're always going to want to be like, no, let's get them for something. And I think that's just what they're going to keep trying to do, but they wanted it to come out because maybe they want him to step down. They want, obviously know he's a good leader, but then it didn't help that Senor Verstappen then came out and said that the team is now being in danger of being torn apart over this, because that just cements certain commentary of that they think it's legitimate.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think in our first episode back, I was like, obviously on a human level, I don't want this to be real. I feel for Christian. I feel for his family. I feel for Jerry. I feel for anyone. I mean, okay, sorry. If it is real, I don't feel for Christian. I think you're an idiot for doing that. If you allegedly did that. If you do that. But I also think that it'll, from what we've seen this weekend, which we'll go into the race recap and the weekend recap, it kind of looks like that it's just going to be a repeat of last year, and we're going to be hearing a lot of the Dutch anthem. And it just gives a little bit of drama. If Christian Horner does get kicked out and is not the team principal, it's going to cause a ripple effect, and maybe it is what we need to not hear the Dutch national anthem so many times this year.
As much as
And Jack is laughing, and I want to know what his thoughts are.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it does look like at the moment that Red Bull are just so far ahead again, possibly on a similar level to last year. But yeah, the Grand Prix almost felt like a bit of a sideshow across the weekend, just because of the sheer, the rumours always coming out and who is behind it, and so many questions and
So many questions.
I don't know, but yeah, performance-wise, it does look like Red Bull have upgraded their car and are going to be tough to beat again.
Upgraded.
Did you see? I
What
saw
didn't
so
need-
much on social.
Upgraded the most incredible car already. Like,
I saw so many people on social media posting videos of them watching the race, and they actually would put stickers over the leaderboard of where Max was, on top, because they were just like, nah, we just need to look at the rest of the grid now and see what's happening there. And so, Jack, for your knowledge, last year when we did our predictions for each race, we actually did 2, 3, and 4 as our 1, 2, 3, because Max is always there pretty much.
Yeah.
Last week we all said Max number 1. We thought, let's try it 1, 2, 3, rather than what we dream of happening in our fantasy land.
yeah.
Delusion.
Yeah.
Pure delusion.
Hey, that's not the nice word of it. It's fantasy delusion. Some delusion, but anyway. Any other news that tipped over the weekend?
Well, we got to see Gunther Steiner back. I mean, not back, but I think he was doing some work for
He was floating.
he was floating, yes.
I saw so many comments of people being like, oh, did he not cancel his flights?
Well, he was very adamant that he was like, I didn't know I was coming until 2 weeks ago.
Imagine he's already got like the whole year planned out, flights booked, accommodation done.
Yeah.
So
He's
good.
gonna be everywhere.
Yeah. So good to see
It was great
him
to
there.
see him. I mean, it's a waste not having him there. I
I think he needs to be back. I missed hearing him on Sky News when they go down to the pit wall. His commentary is always great. Well, let's dive into the race. The 10th anniversary of the V6 engine.
vroom, vroom.
Not as loud as Crofty kept saying.
Yeah.
He kept being like...
Kept making a point of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which he made multiple points
We
on.
agree.
Just kept going over. And it was actually also the first race in F1 history of like a season opener where there were no retirements.
Yes. Yes.
Which
And no
is-
safety
that
car either.
Was that oh, yeah, true. There wasn't a
Yep.
safety car.
I mean, they thought there was going to be a safety car at one point that
Yeah.
nearly triggered one, and then it just didn't come out.
It felt like a race that you would. Oh no! Do you want the dog's fart?
We're good.
It kind of felt like a race that we would have got at like in the middle of the season, not something at the start of the season.
Was it worth the 2 a.m. wake up call? Jack, did you wake up?
I watched the KO replay. I got
Yeah,
to admit,
replay.
Yeah, it was a KO mini.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I must say, I
you stayed up.
love a Saturday race.
Yeah, me too.
I stayed up.
Sunday was a horizontal kind of day for me. Horizontal?
It was not
Watching
worth staying
F1.
up for, to be entirely honest.
Gosh, no.
You
It
didn't.
was a boring race. I think that thankfully it was the first race of the season, so I'm kind of like, well, it was just so exciting to be back and to have F1 back that, we could somehow deal with a boring race. That's my opinion, but not the most interesting race.
I loved Jeremy Clarkson's comments, even talking about, lap times in practice and quali. He was like, they're not any different to last year.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I doing here?
He waved the flag, didn't
Why
he?
am I
Did you see? Well, he
waved
struggled to wave the flag. He was quite pissed. He was like,
He waved it with some
That
fucking
was
gusto,
so
though.
yeah.
When I saw that video, I was in hysterics. I was like, he's the perfect person to wave the flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After
Yeah, he
talking-
is.
Who was it
He
last
is.
year that we're talking about that waved the flag? Was it Justin Bieber at Vegas and he just stood there?
Yeah,
And
it was
just
like a little pity.
Yeah, Tim
Oh my
Cook, I
god! If
think.
I
Yeah.
had the if any of us had the opportunity to wave
Oh
the
my
flag, I
gosh.
think we would be bawling our eyes out while
Literally.
doing it.
Oh, we even said, I remember when we
Come
were
through
talking
the
about that
entire
episode.
body.
Yeah, we'd probably fall out
Yeah.
because we'd just be like, oh my God.
So excited.
Hold my feet.
Get all three of you on
Yeah.
it at the same time.
Yeah,
Simultaneously.
literally.
Now fly off. Just flying out there. What was your overview, Jack, of the race and seeing all the cars out after all, their off-season upgrades, and what are you thinking, vibing, feeling?
Yeah, I think we sort of saw in pre-season testing. I think when Red Bull released their car, it was quite a bit of surprise because on the outside it looked like more of an upgrade than potentially they needed to make. They were such a dominant force last year, obviously. So they sort of appeared to change the game quite a bit in terms of, especially visually, with their side pod upgrades. So it was sort of a lot of pundits that I read were sort of thinking, oh, maybe this is just all they're pretending, they're trying to, sandbag or, show us incorrect renders.
Yeah.
But then they sort of came out in testing. They had that car and they were setting fast times. I think it sort of had the point during testing when Max went quickest by 0.8, and there's a camera shot of GP just kind of looking up at the camera and just sort of smiling.
Literally.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, we've done it again.
exactly.
I'm intrigued to know, I mean, this sort of circling back to last year, but what is the noise like in the Aston Martin world? What is everyone saying about the Red Bulls? Like, what is something that
Do
we
they
don't
just
hear?
come back to the factory and go, fuck? Or does it actually inspire the teams? I don't know. I mean, personally, I would look at it if I was an engineer, which I just would never be smart enough to do, but I'd be like, fuck.
Hey, like, are they superhumans? What?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. So there's a lot of competitor analysis that I would say goes on as well. So from a lot of different perspectives across the teams, they'll always be looking at competitors. So in that aspect, you're always trying to, improve and look at how others are going. But it does come to the weekend, I feel, and it's like, well, yeah, there's not much point like worrying too much about it. You've got to focus on sort of your own analysis and your own sort of times, your own data, and then just kind of see where you come out in the end. And hopefully, everyone's sort of got that racing spirit inside them, and qualifying will come along, and you sort of be like, we've done the most we can to sort of try and influence the car and its setup, and then you're sort of hyped up at that point. But then, inevitably it's going to be like Red Bull are going to be on top, and probably next year they'll probably pull out the lead or be the same again. So
Yeah.
So everyone was saying that Visa Cash App RB, Racing Bulls, whatever we want to call them, are supposed to have like the RB19. They clearly don't.
Yeah, I sort of had heard that as well. And I think the sort of regulations around not being able to essentially take a car or, ever since Tracing Point back in the day, that's been sort of updated, and you're not supposed to, take direct parts from competitors or direct CAD models even. So I don't know, I think it was probably a bit overstated from what I've heard, the amount that Visa Cash App RV car from this year was going to be RV19.
It's such a mouthful. Oh.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? I didn't
Oh
realise
my
it was
gosh.
2 different companies. I
Yeah.
just thought it was the Visa Cash App.
Cash App.
Yeah.
I hate now that the commentators are just saying RB.
Yeah.
It's
I got so
confusing.
confused at one point. I was like, wait, Red Bull or what am I, who is it?
And
I didn't know who they were talking about.
you know what else I'm thinking about Visa Cash App? Like watching the race, like when they've got the aerial shots going on. I loved their livery that they came out with, but it gets lost on the grid. And I got to say, Kick Sauber, they have held it.
my
I
God.
thought it was
Oh my God.
funny at first, but oh my God,
my
it
gosh.
stands
I was going
out
to say that.
so well.
I was like, bravo
yeah,
to that
It
car.
gives me a headache if I look at it for too long.
because it's just
so
so
bright.
green.
It's just so bright.
I'm all for it.
I need to go take some Nurofen.
I know we gave it so much shit, but I'm all for it. They do stand out.
Apparently
Like,
in
I love
person-
it because they stand out, but it hurts my head. It hurts my arm.
Yeah.
Apparently in person it stands out even more
Really?
as well. So
Yeah.
you might be taking a couple of Nurophens at the couple of weeks' time.
I'll skip here. I'm going to be like, oh my God.
Don't worry,
Everyone's like getting hypnotized.
I'll pack it in my bag for you, Amy. It's all good. I'll Mary Poppins style it, so if we're looking, we can see it. But it stands out so well. And I was a bit of ashamed to see, Visa Cash App RB sort of get lost on the grid visually a little bit. And then also, especially after Danny performed so well in practice. And everyone was like, oh my God, Daniel Ricciardo's out on top. And then it's kind of like, yeah, but is everyone else just holding it back? And it was short-lived.
It was short-lived.
Unless you're, I don't know, Yuki fighting that. But anyway, we can dive into that. Key moments of practice and quali. Amy?
This isn't from one of the top teams, but it's I found it a little upsetting. Not upsetting, because, I do love Logan Sargent. I will back him.
You will back him
But-
today.
Jacqueline. Amy's like, she's also got a thing for Logan Sargent.
I don't know if it's because I kind of feel sorry
Is
for
that
him.
a
but
pity
I'm
laugh
he
or like
deserves-
a joining laugh?
Pity, maybe.
Probably, yeah. But the difference between Alex Albon and Logan Sargent again, the time difference and where he finished in Q3, 9th and then 18th. We're like, come on.
Yeah.
You can't be doing that. After last year, after him finishing so far behind Alex, you'd think that he would have a little bit more something to give.
Especially the
Versus
fact
like-
that they kept him on.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That he's still on the grid this year. Like, that is a huge thing.
I mean, jumping
Yeah.
into the race, Logan nearly triggered a safety car. They thought
Yeah.
that he wasn't going to go back out. And that was only in lap 10. And James Bowles' face just dropped. Just went,
Yeah.
oh, shit. And he's a very technical guy.
Yeah. And then the other thing was how slow Alpine are.
Oh, yeah. The tractors.
Slower than the Haas.
Yeah. What's going on there? What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah, Jack, give us a
what's your
technical-
opinion on this? What have they done wrong?
Yeah, and why? Who's been resigning this week? Maybe you can break that news on the podcast, even though everyone already knows. But
Yeah, so obviously the head of aero and technical director are reported to have handed in their notice at Alpine. So yes, it's not looking. I don't know.
It's a bit soon, I think.
Yeah, possibly. Although we did see last year, like McLaren started off the season quite slowly and were able to develop across the year. So maybe there's some hope there, and I don't know. We'll see.
do you think
True.
that they resigned because they were asked to resign, or that was their resignation?
Great question. Would you want to resign as a head of aerodynamics at the Formula One team?
Is that like your dream job? Would you go back to England?
Or if I were based in Australia, probably I would. But
Yeah.
I would
Also,
probably
you
not
would have
go.
moved back.
So yeah, well, I'm back now, but yeah,
Too cold.
too cold. It's so great.
Yeah, as Alonso says, it's so cold.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He summed it up well.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we know, like they're talking about in the Olympics bringing, what is it, Formula E team
Yeah.
or something like that. There you go.
get it. Yeah, represent Australia.
Yeah, you might need to jump in on that one.
Yeah.
You could be working with, Daniel Ricciardo and Oscar Piastri for that one. That would be.
Geez, that sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Can we come and just hang out?
We can be your
We can provide entertainment.
gals.
Gal squad.
Gal squad.
Jack's own personal squad. Can't make sense to me.
Yeah, well, yeah, you probably wouldn't want to resign from that role, would you?
No. So something's going on there,
Something.
which is a real shame, but anyway, things happen.
I like to think, I mean, obviously at the beginning of the season, we kind of get a glimpse into what's going to happen for the remainder of the year. But, I mean, good having you here because, for example, last year Aston Martin dominated at the beginning of the season and we all had such high hopes and then maybe didn't perform as well as what we thought. I don't know if you have some insight on that. But
Yeah, how did you think Aston went?
It was at the start of the season. It was crazy, just going straight from, not a great 2022, and then coming into testing 23, and things are sort of looking up, and you sort of think, oh, we could be decent here, and then the start of 2023 comes around, and I think we finished on the podium. Also maybe second in the first race, and
Yeah.
it's like, wow, that's mental, and such a jump that's been made. But then, obviously across the season, it's such a development race at the same time. And probably not to go into too much detail, but it is such a development race, and you're trying to get upgrades to the car as quick as possible and make sure those upgrades work. And some teams are able to do it across the season, and then sometimes it just doesn't work out. So
Were you impressed with their performance in Bahrain, or were you thinking, oh, we worked on that, or we didn't work on that? Fuck, I could have done that.
I sort of, there's just there's so many people that are working toward the same goal in the team. It's aerodynamics departments are huge, and then all around that, it's crazy. But I guess I sort of thought that's where it was looking like being for them for the time being. Obviously, in qualifying, Alonso just brought out a pretty banging lap and was able to put it up there.
Yeah.
But probably in the race, I think we probably saw across particularly the top five what it's going to look like and what the sort of race pace and how the constructors is going to sort of look in the near term. But who knows what can happen.
You don't know exactly.
No.
I mean, that's the same thing with Alpine. I'm just like, I don't want to give up. I like to think there's a bit of hope.
I think there will be hope.
Yes.
There is hope. There's always hope.
Yes.
There's never not hope.
Yes.
You're optimistic.
That's like me putting in our predictions. I think I put Oscar in every single week.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
Oscar will be on the podium.
I just have hope. So Oscar became quickly one of my favorite, with everyone else, one of my favorite drivers. I just think he's done phenomenally well in the last year. But I was hanging some shit on him accidentally, not on purpose, kind of last year. Anyway.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Yes.
On the podcast publicly.
Don't say he's your favourite now.
Oh yeah, no, he converted me.
Apologise to his mum.
I'm on the bandwagon. 100%.
Finally.
Yeah, no. I mean, it was end of last year. I was on the bandwagon, and then we got to meet Oscar's mum. And that
It was
just
such a vibe.
solidified.
We
I was
love
like,
her.
I'm definitely on the Oscars bandwagon.
She loves getting on Twitter, doesn't she? She
does.
Yeah.
She's the best. She's
She's the
absolute
queen of Twitter.
Yeah.
X, whatever you call it.
Something we do need to touch on. The Yuki and Danny drama.
Yes. Well, the
Yuki
race.
and Danny drama.
I mean, this wasn't even really in the race. This was after the race.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was just so silly, as they would say, because Danny had pace on Yuki all weekend. And as Danny said, that they had strategized in the garages before and everything, that this was going to be the scenario if Danny was looking like he was getting more pace, they knew they weren't going to get bitten points, that he was going to come out in front of Yuki. And Yuki just, I don't know, what do you call it?
Had a tantrum.
Tandy.
Cracked them.
On a cool down lap.
Yeah.
On a
My
cool down
thing-
lap.
Yeah, it's like my question is like, why with 2 laps to go?
I think
Like
he had
2
a lot
laps
of, I
to
think
go,
he had a lot of
nothing's really
anger
going to
in him.
happen. They would be able to see the data. Obviously, they probably can't. I'm not actually too sure. They can't see other cars' data.
Can
So they couldn't see K-Mag's.
So
Can
that-
they see that data?
they can see like their GPS, so like in terms of what their pace is doing compared to previous laps, for example, but you can't see yeah, you can't see like the tire temperatures or anything like that from competitors.
So you could see how fast they're going.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, if they couldn't actually see how fast he was going, what was the point? Because they would add up the numbers and know that, okay, Danny's here, Yuki's here. They need to swap, but then is Danny going to be able to get to K-Mag, even though Danny was on softs? Was he?
He was on softs,
And
yeah.
Yuki was on hards.
Yeah, you're probably also hoping that, you sort of want to put yourself in the best position. For instance, if a retirement does happen or a crash happens in the top 10, that you're ready there to pounce. But I guess, I don't know. Either way.
Yeah, I just thought it was odd to do it at the very, 2 laps to go. Because now, did you see all the theories about how people were saying that Helmut Marko stated that Danny needs to be beating Yuki at every race
to stay,
and now people are to get the Red Bull seat.
Oh,
and they were saying that
It's a lot of
so
pressure.
it would literally mean that they were going to tell Yuki to hand his
his spot.
position to Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh, on that Red Bull seat, did you see Senor Verstappen say that anything's possible about Max moving to Mercedes? Did he? You're nodding.
I've sort of have heard that that's sort of all going on in the background of this Christian Horner thing
It's
as
all
well, isn't
because
it?
he's so angry about the Christian Horner thing that he's like, I think he's thinking about pulling Max out of there.
Some vicious rumours going around.
And
isn't there?
Oh my God! Can you imagine Max at Mercedes and Lewis at front?
It'd actually be pretty.
Well,
amazing to
I'll
watch.
throw another spanner.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
no.
was thinking, not something that I've heard, just heard in my brain. I've created this. I was thinking, I love Charles Leclerc at Ferrari. I love it. But I want to see Charles Leclerc at Red Bull.
Do you think Max would be the same sort of driver in any other car? Or it's the car?
I think it's 90% the car. But, yeah, obviously the difference between him and Checo is really showing how bloody good of a driver he is. And, I think he sort of is naturally incredibly talented, but also is on the sim so many times during the week. I don't watch his Twitch streams, but you just hear about him always streaming and just driving whatever possible chance he can get. So
It'd be cool
Do
to
you know
do a
what-
full driver
I
swap,
mean,
having what you just said.
Yeah.
that.
My theory as well is that quali shows us the caliber of the driver. Race shows us the caliber of the car. Obviously within reason. And you're nodding your head, Jack, but you might also be like, she's an idiot. She's so wrong.
Are you
But-
being polite or?
no, I think so. No, but there's obviously racecraft as well, but
Of
then
course.
but then
There's more to it. That's just my top level theory.
100%. I think that's pretty accurate as well
Yeah.
because you're on the edge during qualifying. So yeah, it's really showing the limits of the driver as well.
Yeah.
I mean, poor Checo, he still did well. I mean, he was fifth.
But he
And
came sixth in quali
Yeah, but in the race, he climbed up from fifth.
because of his car.
Yeah, but still, there's gotta be
Because
some
of
skill.
his car.
Yeah, I know. There's still gotta be some
Obviously,
skill.
they're all incredible. There's so much skill across all of them, but he's good. But I think someone like Charles Leclerc and even Carlos Sainz and George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, I think they're all better.
I would love to see a driver
Drivers.
shake up, and I think everyone wants to see that on the grid.
Even Lando. Yeah, agreed.
No, I like Lando and Oscar. I think need to stay in McLaren. I just like them as a
Oh,
pairing
no,
so
I
much.
agree. I think they need to stay.
They can't move anywhere.
No,
Two of them together with McLaren is just perfect.
yeah, and they even say that as well. They're just like, we're just happy. If we're angry, we talk about it whilst we're driving, and then we're happy. And I kind of like it.
Peace
As a
and
visual
love.
consumer, you're just like,
Well, that will go away.
it's just like the smiling thing. We've just had a dog fart in here, and oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I'm so happy they're angled towards you. Oh, no. I haven't got
just
that.
pausing here.
Also, can we just talk about the pace that Haas have?
Mm-hmm.
They've actually got some decent pace this year. Kevin Magnussen.
Yeah,
No, not Kevin Magnussen. Nico Hulkenberg. I was like, wait, no, wrong one.
I think their new team principal sort of was tempering expectations at the start and saying, "Oh, we might finish towards the bottom." But I think they have really shown like good. They were good in winter testing in terms of the amount of laps that they're able to drive and sort of get a base. And I think, a lot of the teams are sort of saying they're happy with the base they've got that they can develop on throughout the season. But it seems that is possibly the case with Haas in particular.
Yeah, I read something as well that said they've kind of really gotten on top of their rear tire degradation. And I'm kind of hoping, like I said in one of my TikToks, I thought K-Mag, yes, right one, was going to be in the top 10. And then he had that little incident on turn 1 and dropped down to last. And I'm like,
It was an incident.
incident. So
I think it's a shame as well
high.
because I'm sure a lot of people are going to like attribute this success to Gunter not being there. But these are the sort of things like this has been worked on for such a long time whilst Gunter was there. So
What with Gene running Haas, he is obviously not investing the most huge amounts of dollars. We hear it all the time as audience and fans. Do you think someone like Andretti and GM Motors should partner with Haas?
I think, as a fan, I think that would be probably in the best interest of the sport, you would think, because obviously Haas over the sort of period of them being in the sport haven't been able to push up that order as far as they would have wanted to, and bringing someone like Andretti in to be able to bring that extra money into a team would just make such a huge difference. You can see with, in particular recently, Aston and the amount of investment that's gone into that team and how obviously they're not first at the moment, but that investment over time really will have an obvious benefit, and it did, particularly at the start of last year. So
you think Aston's on the way out this year? We're going to expect more from Aston?
I think over the long period,
All the work that you put in the last couple of years?
I think there's a lot of very much smarter people than me that were there.
Don't sell yourself
there.
short. I think you must be incredibly smart. I mean, you were
to get that job,
Yeah.
you're one of the best.
Yeah.
But it is such a small cog in a big machine that's got so many dedicated people that have been there for 20 plus years that, it's obviously great to have learnt from them. And I think they'll be heading upwards in the future for sure.
It's
nice.
I can't wait to see Aston Martin come up. I think it'd be really interesting.
yeah.
But one that I was it was good to see this weekend, your homeland, Pat, Ferrari.
I'm like, where's my homeland? Oh, yeah, my Italian side. Yes, Forza Italia. Well done, Carlos. And that was a real big fuck you to Ferrari. It's like, you get rid of me, I come on the podium. It's like I'm third, but third isn't that great, but it is good.
I loved all the memes of Carlos Sainz coming out and people being like, putting the call me action, being like, Toto, call me. Like,
But also, did you see the clip of him where he finishes the race and then he's like looking around for his team?
yeah.
I replayed that. I replayed that like 3 times. So I was like, is it just like social media that's making this out to be worse than what it is? But
Apparently they were all behind the Red Bull guys.
yeah.
Fucking Red Bull.
Which is a bit sad. But I love that battle between Carlos and Charles.
Yeah. Yes.
Carlos was just like, these aren't team orders, but you know what? I get shit done
Yeah.
when I take things into my own hands. Just like in Singapore.
Yeah.
It's like Ferrari strategies don't work, so they just do their own. And when they do their own,
It could have been risky though because they almost touched.
there wasn't there a race last year where they went wheel to wheel and then they both crashed?
I don't
Or
think
was
they
it
ended up
before?
crashing, but there definitely was a race, or there were many races where they went wheel to wheel.
They kind of just do their own thing half the time, Ferrari. They're just like, let's just go on out.
Yeah.
They race so closely, don't they? On the weekend, so close to touching a couple of times there.
Also, poor Charles. I mean, if someone made a drinking game of the amount of times he locked up, like, you'd be wasted. And then he had brake temperature problems as well. I mean, the fact that he came 4th is a miracle.
Yeah, I think there was a split between his 2 front disk temperatures as well, which was causing that. So, because there's such a big difference, you really struggle to handle the car. And I think it unblocked itself after a bit, but yeah.
So can you explain that in layman's terms of what happened?
Yeah, so
To someone like me that doesn't understand the technical engineering side.
I'm not sure of the mechanics of it, but one of his brakes was a lot hotter than the other, which obviously like the brake is very close to the tyre as well, so maybe the tyre temperatures are very different, and that's going to cause you to cause those lockups that he eventually was struggling with.
Which shows the caliber of driver he is, the fact that he came fourth with that drama.
I think when I swear that one of the commentators said they were like they didn't know how he was still driving.
Yeah.
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 Good ball.
Well, any other key moments from the race, guys?
I was just gonna laugh by myself, but how like all the teams put so much effort into like tire strategy and when their pit stops are going to be, and then you see Max Verstappen that just goes out, waits till he's a good pit stop length in front of everyone, and then he pits. He's like, I'll just stay with these tires for as long as I have to until I can come into the pits, come out, and still be at the top.
Oh, no, he's half a lap in front of everyone. He can do what he freaking wants.
Didn't
at
he
that
lap
point.
half the grid?
Yeah, there's
he
an
lapped
amazing
half.
photo of him after he's finished, and there's still no one behind him. This aerial shot
he
is
was like
incredible.
he was just like weaving into the finish.
He's just chilling. Doesn't even need to get the time.
No.
It's just like, oh, well, may as well do it.
May as well.
Hey, just one thing. Red Bull now drawn equal to Williams wins as well.
Oh, well, Williams will be so past then.
That was the most anticlimactic answer. Shut me down. Sorry. Thought that was an interesting bit of fact.
It's a lovely fact. I mean, do you know what? It's great because it's nice to see like how successful Williams was once upon a time.
Yeah, they might come back. You never know.
Not this season.
James Vowles is very, I keep saying Vowles, but it's Vowles. He's very onto it. And he's a very technical guy. He doesn't drink coffee during the week, only on Sundays.
Really?
What a treat.
Everyone at work would drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah, how does he
There is a
okay, what is he
whole,
drinking
like-
instead of coffee though?
Okay, so there is a whole section in Drive to Survive about his coffee drinking, and I was like, I'm actually fascinated by this. He doesn't even drink decaf because he says there's still caffeine
There
in
is.
it.
There is
And he
still
doesn't like
caffeine
how
in
it alters.
Oh, really?
And,
Yeah.
And that he
Tiniest
relies
amount.
on, caffeine relies on his body. So he's like this, someone in his team is ordering a coffee and he's like, see, the state you're running on, that's not normal.
It's addiction.
It's addiction, blah, blah, blah. Like he's a very technical, data-stricken guy.
I really respect that.
Yeah.
But
It's
also
interesting.
coffee makes me happy.
Yeah. No, it's not going away. Drivers for the
Driver of
days.
the day. I mean, I think obviously Max Verstappen, but I've got
I can't
Carlos.
say Max. It's just
I know. But I do think Max, but I've got Carlos because I love that it's like the first race back for the season. Obviously, he's lost his seat next year and he did great. Not letting him any emotions get in the way and just getting a job done.
Yeah, I'm with you. You can't look past Carlos. Amy, Jack?
I would be Carlos too, but who can I pick?
That's all right. We can all have the same
We can
driver
all
of the
say.
day.
What do you think, Jack?
You said I can't choose Max.
Yeah.
You can choose Max.
You can, but,
You can choose Max.
He just wants
if
it
you
by so
couldn't
much.
choose Max, I mean, Max is running his own race.
Yeah.
True. Maybe Carlos as well. Although I will note, Lance did get spun around and came back and finished in 10th.
True.
So good job from
True.
him.
Very true.
Nice.
Lando had a good move on Alonso as well. Maybe Lando.
I would have
about
loved to have
Lando?
seen Lando and Oscar up there. I mean,
Yeah.
they were happy with their performance. They both collectively said they wished that last term was not there. Lando said that he was just trying to cut it each time because he hated it so much. So they're trying to get through, but we might see them step up.
Maybe
Jack-
next week.
Do you have any more insights for us from the race that you observed that maybe you think people or that we should know?
I think from something that we saw at testing was that Ferrari were working on their long run pace, and that's sort of been a focus for them over the winter. And you could sort of see that in their times when they were doing their long runs in testing, that they kind of stagnated and they were able to maintain that same time across quite a long stint. I guess leading into the race and future races going forward, hopefully that better race pace performance for Ferrari is able to bring us some better racing going forward
Fingers crossed.
across different events. So.
I think they'll be a real competitor for Red Bull this year.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be nice to see.
I just feel like Charles was so close last year. So many moments.
Oh, yeah, and then now Lewis is going to come into this car next year. He's smart.
Yeah.
Lewis knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's seen something.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
He's saying something, and that's why he's jumping in. I mean,
And he's also seen a lack of something at Mercedes.
oh yeah, I think it's after Bahrain, it was very telling.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to know exactly what was discussed. Like, were they able to tell Lewis about the data they've collected? Like, what part of it got him over the line, you know? Another fart.
Oh my god, I need to go walk these dogs. What's going on?
Next week.
Oh, that is actually a bad one.
Yeah.
All right. Next week we're in
Saudi Arabia,
We have another Saturday night race.
which I'm very happy about.
They need to keep them as Saturday night races.
I know.
It's great here for us
I
in
loved
Australia.
waking up and it was a Sunday. And then Monday was just normal.
Yeah.
I know, but I also then was like, we need to record right away. Like it was
I know,
delayed for
yeah.
us, which was not convenient. But anyway,
No.
last year's results.
Perez, Verstappen, Alonso.
Max's first loss of 2023.
I mean, it was
One
only
of-
second.
Yes, yeah. One of two.
It was only coming up. Predictions, thoughts, feels. What are you looking for in next week?
In Saudi, I think McLaren will probably be in a bit better of a spot with a bit of a high speed circuit next weekend. But yeah, I think we can obviously expect Red Bull to be dominate as well. But hopefully continue to see some challenging from below, particularly Ferrari. And I think on the weekend as well, Mercedes were managing engine temperatures as well. So maybe they sort of become a bit more of a competitor.
Yeah.
Once I get on top of that for next week.
So if you had to pick 1, 2, 3,
Verstappen, Sainz, Perez.
I actually like that.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, can I steal that?
Steal it.
Yeah, I want to steal it, but I also want to. I have to put.
I'll
Oscar
say
in there
mine. I'll do
somewhere.
something
Yeah.
different. I reckon Verstappen, Checo, Russell.
Ooh, George would like that.
Yep.
Be happy with that. Amy.
So I just pulled up the map, and there are so many long straights.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Well, we might see something from Alex then.
Maybe.
I don't think it'll be podium worthy.
Top 6?
Top 6, top 5. That'd be nice. Nice to see Williams up there.
Yeah. I don't want to say Max, but it's just so obvious.
No, just say it.
Yeah.
Just say it.
I reckon Max, Lewis, Oscar.
Ooh.
It's a nice combo. I like that combo.
Something rogue. Because I mean, if McLaren, because they do generally drive well at this track. So if they can,
They did terribly last year, though.
True.
Yeah.
I think they're just ready to get back.
Piastri came 15th and Norris came 17th.
Well, Lando and Oscar were talking about on their after pre-race interviews, post-race interviews. They're like, we both just can't wait to get to Melbourne. They both said that.
We also can't wait for you to come to Melbourne.
I know. We're like itching to get there.
Hurry up.
Who do you think's going to be better, Lance or Alonso, after your Aston stint in Saudi? Are you allowed to say?
I think that I'd be like any punter on the sidelines and go and say Alonso will beat Lance.
Yeah.
I think at Saudi.
There
Oh,
you
that
go.
was the other thing about Lance. I felt he qualifying. He qualified better last year and raced better with a broken wrist.
Yeah.
and tongue.
True. Yeah, he's tended to sort of have one lap to be able to perform in qualifying. Sort of like made a few mistakes. So yeah, we've seen in the past last year that Lance has sort of left it, had one lap after making a mistake to be able to kind of pick up the scraps and make it forward in qualifying. So yeah, hopefully going forward he is able to set a good lap in that sort of first stint within qualifying and move up.
Yep.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I'm ready for race 2 and hopefully a good race.
A bit more
That's
entertainment.
What I want. And
More
also-
entertainment on the track, less entertainment off the track.
Yeah, although the entertainment off the track makes up for the lack of entertainment
Yeah,
on the track,
that's
to be
true.
honest. Like, I just want to see how all this Christian Horner stuff unfolds,
Unravels.
because also if it is bad behaviour, I think it needs to be held to a standard if it is true. Amy has dropped off, unfortunately, on the call. There is something that has just happened with Google Meets. That's okay. We'll get her back at another time. But I'm sure she'd say goodbye. But before we quickly finish up, I do just want to add in, we have an exciting competition.
We do have an exciting competition.
So if you have missed out on Oz GP tickets, head to our socials, because
We're doing a giveaway.
something might be popping up there. So you got an opportunity to win some tickets, if that wasn't obvious from what we just said. But anyway.
Yep, so if you've missed out, you may have missed out on Tay-Tay's tickets, you may have missed out on GP tickets. Well, we've got you covered for GP tickets.
Blink-182, Pink and Tay-Tay. It's all good. We've got you for Oz GP.
Yeah, probably the best one on
Yeah.
the calendar.
Jack, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been,
that was
been
awesome.
unreal. Thank you.
It was just so good to have, a little bit of a technical insight, I think. And we definitely have to get you back on to do a
Yes.
mini, and we're going to hound you with
Yes.
question after question of, what we need to do there.
Technical details. Cool. Yeah, thanks very much for having me. Really enjoyed it. Much appreciated.
Yes, thank you for taking time out of your day, and you will be back.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
The dogs, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not the dogs next time. Pat, what can people do once they've listened to this episode?
If you can like and subscribe, 5 stars only. Although, we appreciate honest feedback too.
Yeah, we love it.
But yeah, like and subscribe, chuck us a follow, keep the conversation going. One of us is always on the other end of our socials, ready to respond to you.
Even if you're a troll, we like to go back on the trolls.
We'll challenge you.
The trolls are going hard at the moment on TikTok. Really, they're really getting stuck into us, being like, you're just bandwagon fans and all of that. And I'm like, I get angry at them. I'm like, I'll show you my resume. I used to work at the OzG.
Yeah.
Show you photos of me as a child in my Ferrari gear.
Exactly.
Keyboard warriors.
Literally. All right.
Well,
Ciao.
that's all we've got for you today. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.